Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Telegram, and Twitch. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. Today is June 25th, 2022. I am Toolman Tim, and this is the Workshop Podcast. We've got a good one for you tonight. Yet another, well, actually, first off, I have a special guest here. Hello, Mrs. Toolman. They can't see you. There you go. Come on over. There she is. Hey, so tonight we are going to talk about, well, I made the list, and then she's coming in for critical observation. So we're going to do top 5 bunker films. I have a bonus pick, and then you have how many bonuses?
3.
She has 3 bonuses that I don't know what they are. So we are going to dig into it real quick. Hey, Martinson family, how are you? Real quick, we'll get the announcements out of the way. First off, next Saturday is going to be the second installment of the Workshop Book Club. Rather excited. We're going to be discussing book number 2 in the Going Home series. I know we got quite a few people that are excited. If you've read the Going Home books, hey, Waytime, how are you? If you've read them or you're interested in reading them, grab the link. I threw it up in the comments tonight. Come by and join the Telegram Book Club. I would love that. That would be great. We got a nice little crew there, and we love to talk about books. Number 2, the TikTok channel has just, the TikTok account, whatever you want to call it, has just gone crazy. We just topped out 3,000 followers. We got one video that's over 1.2 million views. So it's been really good for the content. It's getting it out there. It's driving a lot of traffic to the website. And if you're interested, check it out because, yeah, I never thought TikTok would be a thing, and it's a huge thing. So run by, subscribe there if you feel like it. And number 3, we are now streaming on Twitch as well. Figured it was time that I put a workshop presence over there. I really haven't done a lot with it at the moment, but it's there and we're going to develop it over time. So if you're a Twitch user or you have anything that you'd like to share with me about Twitch, let me know and we'll go. And today's tool, this has been one I get asked about all the time. Just answered a question before I came live on YouTube, and they want to know, how do I keep my battery charged up for my generator? Simple. A trickle charger. The one I recommend is the LST 1.5 amp trickle charger. It's on Amazon. It's like less than $20. The link's in the description, and it just works. You hook it up permanently to the generator. It has a quick disconnect, and you leave it plugged in. That way, every single time, even when I get you to start the generator, there's a push button there that'll start for you. So remember that. Absolute necessity. So what everybody came for, what we love to talk about is movies. And so last month when I did my top 5, I don't even remember what list it was, but it was a movie list. I had Miss Cook here, was upstairs giving me all kinds of feedback on the movies, weren't you? So I thought, you know what? I think we should have her live in the studio. It's becoming a regular occurrence having people in here on Saturday nights, isn't it, babe?
Yeah, it was Chris last weekend, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We had a lot of fun. So putting this together, when I said it's going to be our top 5 bunker films, I was putting it together and I'm like, wait a minute, there's 2 different lists we could make here. First, it is movies that take place in a bunker. And then I got inspired. So another one we'll do down the road is, what would be the all-time films that you would take into a bomb shelter with you? So if they were like the only 10 films you could ever watch and you had to take them down into a bunker with you. So think about that ahead of time. Maybe we'll do that one next month. I don't know. What do you think? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Top 10 movies. Yep. Basically, they'd have to be rewatchable because you're stuck with them. It's kind of like, yeah. Anyway,
I rewatch movies more than you do.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And hopefully everybody's got something to drink tonight. I got my Maker's Mark. If Mr. Dixon's out there, thank you, buddy. So let's get started. So we're going to go reverse order. And since I do this every single time, I do my notes in reverse order. And Martinson says Grease. You like Grease, don't you? Not bad. Yeah. So since I do my notes in reverse order, I have to work my way backwards through them. So this should be fun. Now, this one here, I will bring this up. We're going to share the screen. There we go. All right. So number 5 is Greenland. Now, I don't know. This would be, I would say, the newest film on the list. And it was a good movie, wasn't it, babe?
It was. It's like a guilty pleasure movie.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. I'm a sucker for Gerard Butler action films. I don't know.
He has student loans to pay.
He does. He's kind of like, well, we used to make fun of poor Bruce Willis, but then we found out we can't anymore. But how about Nick Cage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. but they just keep churning them out. Like Olympus Has Fallen, you know, Dominoes Have Fallen, whatever ones he puts out there, they're good. Like he's nothing special. I used to say he looked like a poor man's Russell Crowe, but I think Russell Crowe looks like a poor man's Russell Crowe now. Oh, he does not look good. But anyway, this one was great. So it's got Gerard Butler. Like I said, he's from the Fallen movies. He's from 300, right?
Well, yeah, but he's like aged a lot since 300.
Oh, I guess he has. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
no more CGI abs either. Yeah. You know? Well, no, he probably did all right. And then the main lady in this is, I never know how to pronounce her name, but it's Morena Baccarin. You'd know her from Firefly, or most people would know her as Deadpool's wife in the movies there. She's about she's done a lot, but that's what she's known for, poor thing. Yeah. And yeah, so this, PG-13 come out in 2020, just shy. Chris Dixon says, love Greenland. Hey kids, he said, good to have you, bud. And it's a great film. It was it was one of those movies. It kind of sucked because they were ready to release it in 2020. And of course, we all remember what happened in 2020. So basically no movies made it to theaters, and the ones that did just sucked awful. They didn't make any money. So this one, I think it had, if I remember, had a budget of 35 million, and they figure it didn't even make that back. It mostly got released on video on demand and streaming, but it was a huge hit on streaming, so much so that I'm not really sure how, but they're going to do a sequel. Did you hear that?
No, I haven't heard.
Yeah.
No.
But again,
well, at the end, it shows them coming out.
Yeah. So we should mention this. There's spoilers throughout this entire thing.
But it'll be like probably a rebuilding.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Right.
So it's called Greenland Immigration. So I assume they're going to immigrate across or whatever. And,
well, kind of like 2021, where at the end there, where they all open up the boats and all the boats are meeting.
True. Liberty says she may be Deadpool's girl, but she's from Firefly. So a lot of people are big fans of Firefly, the Joss Whedon show.
Haven't seen that one yet.
I never have either. Everybody else always gets on me for saying that. But so yeah, Gerard, he plays an everyday man. He's what is he, a contractor or more than a contractor? He oversees big building projects, right? Architect, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, with his somewhat passable American accent. And the movie
didn't do too bad.
No. I like it. I wouldn't care if he
just let him act with his accent.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's
all you got to say is, "Hey, my family moved here when I was 5, and I'm stuck." Or 15.
Well, and I find when he's covering his accent too, he always looks like he has a mouthful of marbles, which makes it even less unbelievable.
It's true, and a little harder to understand too, isn't it?
Yeah, but just let him have his accent. He's not hard to understand.
No, he's a good-looking dude too. I enjoy him. She always laughs at me for my man crushes. So, but yeah, so this movie, it goes balls to the wall early on. That's what I love about it. So again, there's going to be a couple of things in a couple of films we won't spoil for you. But this isn't one of them. I mean, this is a pretty predictable movie. What is it, 4th of July or something?
They're having a barbecue.
Goes to get beer at the store, and he gets a message or an emergency alert on his text that says, get home. And it turns out, of course, I know this is going to be a shock, but the government's been lying to them the whole time, saying that the asteroids aren't going to hit. And then they give him about half a day's notice or a day's notice?
Well, the text was from the government because him and his family were chosen.
Because they figured he would be helpful to the rebuilding.
Kind of like that one movie there with Tia Leone.
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
Deep Impact.
Yeah, exactly. Same type of thing as Deep Impact.
Kind of a lot of similarities.
This isn't as slow as Deep Impact. Deep Impact was good, but
Well, it had Tia Leone.
Yeah. And this is one of those films where it's like, it's how far will a family go to protect their kids? There's a scene in there with Gerard Butler and the hammer. Do you remember that? When he's fighting. So he's basically fighting to get back to his family, and he has to dispatch a feller with a hammer. And it's pretty gruesome for a PG-13 movie. And then the mother, they hop into a car with some strangers, and they want to kidnap them and take them back to the air base or wherever it is they're leaving. And of course, there's always the kid. So the kid has a medical issue.
Always.
It
can't just be a normal one.
No. And it's only convenient to the plot. So the kid has asthma, right?
No, diabetes.
And of course they decide, hey, we can't take you because your kid has diabetes.
And would need insulin and everything like that. Yeah.
I get it. I understand. But it was pretty cliche, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the entire movie, it's fun. There's a little bit of destruction, of course, because the asteroids start hitting. And the entire film is these guys trying to get, I know this is going to blow your mind, but to Greenland to get into one of the government bunkers, right? And so they go to Canada, right? to some little town in Ontario. Isn't that right?
I think so.
Yeah. Some little town that actually exists, but doesn't actually have an airport from what I read. And I'm sure everybody realizes that they make it to the bunker. And yeah, so this is an unspoilable movie because you don't watch it to be surprised by the plot. You don't watch it to be surprised by the ending. You just watch it.
It's just a guilty pleasure. And
Yeah.
I think I've watched it 3 times.
And it's great. I've watched it twice, and I don't watch a lot of movies more than once.
It's one of those movies kind of like 2021 or 2012. Sorry, 2012. You're kind of like sitting on the couch and you're on your phone and you just want background noise.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yep.
And Rachel says she's on the road, but she's with us in spirit tonight. So good to have you. So it's got a Rotten Tomato score of 78 and an audience score of 63. That's about normal.
That's bad.
That's like really, really friggin' high for a Gerard Butler film.
Yeah.
Most of his get like a critic score of like 15. So
not everybody likes end of the world movies.
Oh yeah. And there's one more actor in this film that I really enjoyed. Scott Glenn plays his father. You've seen, remember the guy that plays his dad?
His dad or her dad?
Oh, her dad. Sorry, her dad. Yeah. And he's really good. He just has a small role, but the supporting cast is good in this. And that guy, Scott Glenn, I can't remember what else I've seen him in, but he's in everything. And he just plays that kind of old man
background character.
Yeah,
that you recognize, but you don't recognize.
Yeah,
right?
He's always there. And he always acts his ass off, and he plays a grumpy guy, and he just does a good job. But so this is the type of film. This is got it all over something like Moonfall, right?
Oh, Moonfall was awful.
Hot dog shit, right?
Oh my goodness, it was awful. I couldn't even watch the whole movie. You watch it and you're looking at the actress and it's like, why would you even do a movie like this? This is ridiculous.
But what's the difference between Moonfall and something like Greenland? Like what?
Greenland's good.
Yeah, but it tells a compelling story.
Moonfall was boring. It was long, and like half the time it didn't make any sense. And I don't like Halle Berry.
Yeah,
that made it even more difficult to watch. Like it was almost painful to watch her because you're just like, okay, you haven't acted in how long, and then you're watching her you're like, I can't even watch this woman act anymore. But it hurts when you're not a fan of her. But Patrick Wilson, I was disappointed because I do like him in the.
He usually does a lot of good films.
But
is it Sinister or
no? The Insidious.
Yeah, Insidious. That's
Insidious
it. Yeah.
movie. Like he's great. Or no, not the Insidious ones.
Yeah, I know the other horror movies, the other James Wan horror
with
franchise,
Annabelle,
and
all that. Yeah,
yeah,
like he's incredible in those, but I'm not like just disappointed in it.
And is it Samwise or Sam from Game of Thrones is in it?
Oh,
yeah, he wasn't very good either, was he?
I don't think he could have saved that movie, even if they plugged that he was from Game of Thrones.
I know.
So I don't think that would have saved it.
So this one, number 5, is Greenland, and it's the only one that doesn't actually take place in a bunker. It's the one where they're heading to a bunker. So the rest of them, there's a couple of PGs, a couple of R-rated movies. We'll get into them, but the rest of them basically take place in a bunker. The next one, kind of half and half, and then the rest are kind of all in there. So actually, they're all over the place.
Most of them are all half and half, but there's always a bunker in it.
That's true. So let's see if we can find, hang on here, number 4. And if you haven't seen A Quiet Place, what are you doing, right?
Oh, this is a great movie.
I loved it. Remember we went to the theater? So here is a really cool piece of trivia that I found when I was researching tonight's episode. So if you haven't seen this, of course, it's aliens that are attracted to sound. So everyone in it has to be really, really quiet. And the cool thing is that the audience started getting quiet in the theaters, so much so that they stopped eating. And concession sales were way down for this film because nobody wanted to buy anything to eat or drink because they were scared they would make too much noise. And I thought that is so friggin' cool. So if you haven't seen it, the sequel just came out last year or the year before.
Yeah, that was on hold too because of COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, first off with this movie, if you haven't given it a chance yet, it's worth it. But who in the hell would think that Jim from The Office could write and direct and star in a incredible horror movie, and on top of that, to make it an incredible horror movie that's rated PG-13? Because how few good PG-13 horror movies are there out there?
Yeah, no, he did really well, and he did write it all too.
The entire thing, and he was so good in it. And it's from 2018. It's only 90 minutes long, and the movie just flies by. Like it was good. Hey?
Yeah, it was. It scared the kids.
Oh, it sure did. And of course, it stars John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. So you'd know John Krasinski from, I always get his name wrong, from The Office. He's Jim from The Office, or you could also know him as Emily Blunt's husband, because she's a great actress. Probably the best is Day After Tomorrow.
Yep.
Is that what it is? Or Edge of Tomorrow? The one with
she
Tom
was
Cruise?
good in The Devil Wears Prada.
Yes,
too.
she was
really good in
a
that
lot
one.
younger then too, but
Oh, yeah.
she's a great actress, and they put this movie together, and of course they have great chemistry, so that was a lot of fun. And so, premise of the movie: aliens show up. They don't give a lot of the backstory in the first movie. They give a lot more in the second, don't they?
Yeah, which is nice because it gives you a better idea what took place.
You kind of want to know, right?
Yeah.
And so the whole thing starts out with them going to town to try to find some antibiotics. And, spoiler alert for this part, but their little boy gets killed early on, and it's frightening as hell, right? And they don't show. The cool thing about this is, sound is a big part of it, because there isn't a lot of it, but they don't show a lot either. It's tension building. You're always waiting and listening, and you're on the edge of your seat, and it just makes you nervous, the whole way through. And the kids weren't bad. The girl in it, she's actually deaf in real life. This was only her second movie. So our biggest thing is, a lot of times we don't really like kid actors, right? And if you watch,
not when they're annoying.
Right. Annoying kids aren't good. And in this, they were pretty damn good.
Yep.
The boy in the second one maybe got a little bit, but
he was kind of irritating, but
yeah. So they built themselves a bunker in the basement of their barn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they would put things like mattresses over the roof, and they would play Monopoly, but they'd have pieces that wouldn't make noise. And then, of course, they have to go to town, and they have walkways they build out of sand. And it's really cool, because every time they do something or go somewhere, the tension is always there that a monster is going to jump over them and get them, right? And then, let's see, from there, what are the crazy scenes in it? Well, of course, the little boy who...
the part, like, out of the whole movie, the part that scared the kids the most was when the raccoon got squished.
Oh my, of course, yes, they kill a raccoon in it, and the kids hated that.
Yeah, Charlotte checked out. She's was like, done.
Oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
And they watched the second one, but the first one was yeah.
And then and when he sacrifices himself, that was
yes. So if you haven't seen, we told you, we warned you, spoilers. But so I'm a big fan of small films that have very few people in it. There's only 6 actors in the entire film, and almost the entire thing takes place in the barn or on the farm. And I find those are the ones that have to be acted the best, aren't they? When they're
and then in the second movie, it was like, I don't know how well the second one did, but it was kind of a comeback for Cillian Murphy too.
Yeah, I love him. He's such a good actor.
I love Cillian Murphy, and well, he's doing that one on Netflix, the Irish one or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But he was awesome.
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. So the whole film's only got 25 lines of spoken dialogue. Kind of reminds me of an old Hitchcock film, which is kind of cool. Even the poster looks like a Hitchcock poster. 38 minutes in before you hear the first word, which is kind of cool. They interact with American Sign Language a lot. The dancing scene, I love the dancing scene when him and her, they share headphones, and it's Harvest Moon, right?
Yeah.
With Neil Young. Just a touching film. And then, it's a little overacted in places, but I think that's on purpose.
Well, and it's really emotional.
It is.
It's an emotional movie, like, because you're a lot where there's not a lot of spoken. You have to draw your emotion from their faces. That's
true.
Their reactions.
That's a good point.
So it makes you pay more attention, I find.
It does, yeah. Like I always think of when Jim from The Office, when he's out in the woods and they run into the old man and he does the fingers to his mouth and be quiet. It's so overacted, but you're right. They have to do it because it's the only way they can communicate. That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, and it puts you on the edge of your seat more too, because you're just like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And then you're like, is he going to talk? But
yeah, because he does once. The old man screams, right?
Well, because
his wife's dead, right? Already, yeah.
But that's what it makes you more involved with the movie.
It does, yeah, emotionally involved. And then when she steps on that goddamn nail, oh my god! And then she gives birth. I'm sorry, I'm not a woman, but how in the hell would you ever give birth without making noise?
Well, she made noise once they set off the fireworks.
True. Yes.
Yeah, because she was screaming along with those. But again, you can see the emotion, and you're kind of sitting there, and you're like, just scream, lady, right?
And she's such a good actress.
Yeah, but you can feel it in and you can see it in her
And-
her reactions.
And the transition that she takes too, from grieving mother, kind of weak grieving mother at first, to badass shooting aliens at the end is incredible, right? She's so good at that. And then of course they do the whole little technological gadget that they build, which I love. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing where they, this movie, if it was done by a lesser director or a lesser writer, would have been horribly cliche.
Yeah.
It could have felt like 100 other movies because, there's times when they tell the story through newspaper clippings and you're like, if that was in a different movie, that would feel cheap. And then of course, the whole Rube Goldberg machine that they build with her earpiece and they put it up to the speakers. If that was done in a movie where that could have been done in a movie where you didn't feel it and you didn't give a shit.
Mhm.
But in this, you were right along there with them and it was great. And we wanted more and we still want more. We'll go back and watch the third one, won't we?
Yeah, they are doing a third one, right?
Yep. Yeah, they are. And a spinoff, one that's unrelated. And then there's one scene in there that really pissed me off. And that's when they're in the corn silo, because she goes for a swim in the corn and then the kid just pulls her out. And it's like, yeah, that ain't going to happen. But
no,
that's okay. Just
I think
things.
it was the boy that fell in there.
It
right?
was, yeah,
And
and then she pulls him out, which
Nah.
was, it was.
But
just
that's
one
that
of those,
whole kid acting thing. It's like,
they're just not
okay, you're in the end of the world, and all these aliens are strung up by noise, like how, and like they've been conditioned by their father to not make noise, to do not do this, not do this. Why the hell are you walking on top of a corn silo?
I know,
right? And it's
true.
like, and that's that whole where kids start getting annoying. It's like you have like no brains, and honestly, like, how long have you been dealing with this that you should know better, but you're still doing it?
And they make dumb choices.
And like they play them off like they're incredibly smart kids,
Mm-hmm.
but it like that kind of felt like it was just a filler for the movie.
Which
is
a shame because
kind
it's
of annoying.
Only a 90-minute movie. It didn't.
Didn't need a filler, but
no.
And that scene could have been cut completely, and it wouldn't have affected the movie.
Yeah, not even a little bit, except once they get down, and then the whole truck scene. That's pretty important. But
but they didn't even have. They didn't even have to be there.
Yeah,
so,
I know it's stupid. But the film was made for $17 million, which is pennies. You don't even get to make a movie for that cheap anymore. It's either like $500,000 low budget horror or $400 million Disney Marvel movie. And so this was kind of that in between, but they kicked ass with it. It's everything that Bird Box wasn't. I know we talked about Bird Box a couple weeks ago. Bird Box feels like a cheap knockoff of A Quiet Place. This is the film. If you could only pick one, go with that one because it was good, eh?
Yeah.
And doing some more research, I found a quote from Stephen King about this film. I loved it. He said, "A Quiet Place is an extraordinary piece of work. Terrific acting, but the main thing is the silence and how it makes the camera's eye open wide in a way few other movies manage." I thought, boy, when Stephen King heaps praise on your film, right? And so it had a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes and an 83 for audience. And I think that's a pretty fair score, don't you?
That's a recent score.
That was after all the reviews were put together.
Yeah,
I think that, I thought it's as good as anything. It's probably, there's a couple more on here.
Well, you don't see horror movies that get high scores like that.
No,
usually, right?
that is very true. Okay, so number 3. So before I go on to number 3, there's 5 films in this list of my list anyway. 2 of them you may or may not have heard of and may or may not have seen. So this next one, I can almost bet most of you haven't. And if you haven't, it's worth finding and looking for it. So this one is called Hidden. Sorry, I couldn't get a little better picture. So it was a low enough budget film that I couldn't even find what the budget was for it. It made just over $300,000 in the box office. It's R-rated. I always love a good R-rated film. It's from 2015, and it is the very first film from the Duffer Brothers. Now, if you don't know who the Duffer Brothers are, they are the co-creators of the, which one is it? Stranger Things on Netflix. So if you guys have ever heard of Stranger Things, you'll know about this. But after the first season of Stranger Things, it's been a long time since we saw this one, hasn't it?
Yeah, I still don't quite
hard to
fully remember it.
We'll go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
But it's really good. Again, it's a really small film that takes place almost entirely in an underground bunker with just a family dealing with the noise they hear. In the evening they hear thumping, the people or the creatures, whatever you want to call them, the people that have been infected are called breathers. Great main actor, Alexander Skarsgård, who is just awesome. He played Randall Flagg in The Stand adaptation, and of course, in the Northman, Tarzan, yep. And he played the main character in the new Northman movie, which we loved. I thought it was really good. Weird, but
it was
good.
Weird, but yeah. It was okay.
And the Duffer Brothers wrote and directed this, and it's only 84 minutes long, so it's short. But it's an early film of theirs, and you can see where they were still learning, because even at 84 minutes, going back reading some of the other reviews people had, they said there was still felt like there was stuff in there that maybe didn't need to be in there. But it's a good film. So again, the movie opens 301 days after the pandemic, whichever pandemic it happened to be. And they're running out of food. They're dealing with rats. They have noise upstairs all the time. And the family has 4 rules to live by. And they're never be loud, never lose control, never open the door, and never talk about the breathers. So in other words, don't attract attention. Oh, yes. Liberty says Alexander Skarsgård was at his prime in True Blood. I forgot he was in True Blood. We've never watched it.
Never watched True Blood.
My sister-in-law loves it, or loved it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the vampire movie, right? Or the show, I mean, on. Yeah.
But I think out of all of them, except
very much an adult series. Yeah, I've heard that.
Alexander, besides his father.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I don't know.
The one from the Thor movies.
Yeah, he's the odd professor from the Thor movies.
I think beside Alexander's probably my favorite of all the Skarsgårds.
And he's so good.
Except for the one who plays Pennywise, of course.
He was good too.
He hasn't really done much, but Alexander's my favorite.
So good as Randall Flagg.
Yeah, he was.
For a show, like you guys know I'm a Stephen King fan. Don't waste your time watching The Stand. Go back and watch the 94 miniseries from CBS. It's so much fucking better.
Yeah. But there's no Amber Heard.
No Amber Heard. Oh my God. I would, yeah. Oh yeah, no.
But like if you like Alexander, it's worth watching.
Absolutely.
Because he was incredible in it.
Oh
he
yeah.
Was really good.
Yeah, and you know what? It's still worth watching, but it's not in my mind. It just wasn't that good.
No.
And we got Chris. Hey, he's over on the Twitch stream. He had to switch to Twitch. He said YouTube wasn't working for him. So that's cool. Nice to have you over on Twitch at this point, bud. But yeah, so don't be loud. Don't attract attention to yourself. And then the second one was don't lose control. Of course, that would be tough after 301 days underground. Never open the door. So absolutely under no circumstances are you to leave. And then the fourth one's kind of funny because they say never talk about the breathers. And to me, that's where they are becoming willfully blind to something bad that's happening out there. In other words, they're going to bury their head in the sand the best they can. And it's good. It's an awesome film if you can go back and find it. I think we watched it on Netflix, maybe.
Yeah, I'm still trying to go back in my brain. I don't remember it.
It was good. It's a dark film. I think. Let me see.
Maybe I didn't care for it that much because I always seem to block them out when I don't like them.
There's only 7 actors in the entire film. So again, small film. And most bunker films are going to be small setting, small cast. And it's not bad. It's a dark, very independent, very low budget film. And it's worth going back and checking out. It's got an 80 on Rotten Tomatoes and it's got a 65 audience score. So in the middle, usually a lot of times it's pretty hard to find the critics and the audience where they meet and they're happy together, but so yeah, so that one's a hidden gem. Oh, geez, hidden gem. I didn't even mean to do that. Pardon the pun there, guys. But
yes, you did.
I did. Well, no, anyway. But it's a good one. Yeah. So go back, check that out. All right. So this one was this is number 2 on my list, and this might be the other one that you haven't seen. And this is the film that has by far the most awards. It's probably the only award-winning film on our list tonight. It's definitely the closest to an independent kind of art house film that you're going to find. And it's called Take Shelter. Now, I don't know if anybody out there has seen Take Shelter. You remember Take Shelter?
I do.
Yeah. And it was fun. The story follows the template of Noah and the Ark, but it would be Noah and the Ark if you didn't know if Noah was crazy as shit or not, right? Because the entire premise of this film, and it's great cast. Michael Shannon, this was at the height of his popularity. Love Michael Shannon. Everything he does, he's so good. He was in the old Prohibition TV show that we watched, Boardwalk Empire. Yeah, that's where we first found him in there. He was so good. But Michael Shannon's the dad, and Jessica Chastain is the mother. And Letty says, "Oh, something to catch up on later tonight or tomorrow." Good to have you, Letty, even for a few minutes. But yeah, so it was so good. And Liberty says Alexander's dad was Thor in the Avengers. Eric Selwig, that's it. Yep. And Letty says she loves Marina Baccarin because she's also a
Yeah.
Firefly fan. They're the ones that always give me shit over not watching Firefly yet. So, but Take Shelter, I remember hearing about Take Shelter ahead of time, which was awesome because it got a lot of buzz of all these films. This one, and if you watch movies or follow them, it won the top jury prize at the Cannes Film Festival, which is no small feat. But it's cool. It had a very small budget. Let's get in here of about $5 million, but it didn't even make it back in the theaters. So it wasn't, let's say it wasn't a film that everybody loved, but I loved it. So good. Michael Shannon's just perfect in it. Let's try to dig into it a little bit. So it's a man who starts having hallucinations, or you don't even know if they're hallucinations, but he has, let's say, premonitions where he thinks the entire world's going to come to an end or something really, 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 really bad's going to happen, to the point where he has to build an underground shelter, and to the point where he builds it and commits all of his money and time to it, to the point where he doesn't have any money left for anything else, can barely pay for his house. And his wife stands by him. She gets a little worked up. She can't feel to support him, but she does. She follows along with him. And of course, it's one of those films that ends. Hey, Dave. He was also Zod in the last Superman movie. Yes, he was. He was great in that. Michael Shannon, remember? I love this.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I love Man of Steel. A lot of people don't, but so the entire movie is he crazy? Is he not? Is he having a mental breakdown?
Stellan
Skarsgård. That's it. Yeah.
Stellan. Yeah, I knew.
You could take Shelter kind of as an allegory for some people when they first get into prepping. That's what I always thought. You look at it and it's this guy that just spends everything he has because he thinks the world's going to come to an end. And the ending is ambiguous. And it was done that way on purpose. So you never really know whether he was legitimately suffering from a breakdown, or
wasn't he supposed to be like, weren't they implying that he was like schizophrenic?
Possibly.
Yeah.
They were implying that he might have been, or that the world might have actually been coming to an end.
Yeah, like I remember the ending was kind of disappointing because it's one of those movies where it just kind of leaves you and you're just like, oh, okay, well that sucked, right? So.
It was definitely, like I said, it was an ambiguous ending, but it wasn't a very satisfying ending because they don't give you the answer. You're just kind of there. It ended up with a 92 from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 81 with the audience. And it's definitely a great, that's funny, Dave. I never thought of that. Dave said it has the exact same premise of Field of Dreams, but he was justified.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Yeah, at least the ghost showed up, right?
Yeah. Who in the hell would ever relate Take Shelter and Field of Dreams? But Dave, that is a perfect comparison. I love it. Yeah. There's our soundbite from this episode. That was awesome. Yeah. That's funny. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, like at least, he was justified because the ghost actually showed up and then his wife seen him and the kids seen him. This guy here, I think it was all in his brain.
I think so. But remember, they eventually convince him to take a vacation. They go to Florida, and then what he thinks is going to happen happens, or it doesn't. We don't know.
Yeah, I know.
But it was good.
It was good. The ending was just disappointing.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it's a really, really good film, but it's not number one on our list.
No.
This was number 2 on my list. Now, remember, this is my list.
It's definitely not my list.
I brought you along to make some
Quiet Place would be number 1 on my list.
I figured it would be, yes. So I didn't have a picture of it, but I'm going to give you I'll give you my bonus pick. Then we'll do number 1. Then we'll talk about your picks. How's that sound?
Oh, you're not going to do number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I always throw in a bonus pick. I usually do it before number 1. Now, it's one we talked about before, and it's a Blast from the Past. So we won't talk about it very much. But
that was one of my picks.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, that's good. So
yeah.
I have 2.
So it would be the only comedy on the list. Yeah. And I introduced you to that film, didn't I?
Oh, I had
before we got
it.
Together?
Yeah. I love Christopher Walken.
Oh,
and of course,
and
it was around the time of Brendan Fraser's hype with the Mummy and everything. And of course, who didn't have a crush on Brendan Fraser, right? Like,
and I had Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone.
Which, I know
she cannot act.
Oh, I know she can't act her way out of a paper bag.
But it was that where Brendan Fraser, like everybody's like, and Christopher Walken is like,
he's honestly, classic.
He's incredible. He is probably my favorite actor of all time.
He's so funny too.
Oh, he is hilarious. I was reading that thing to you the other day about the birthday cakes.
Or he'd pretend, tell me the story again.
Yeah, somebody had said that they were working with him and he pretends every week that it's his birthday so that they'll get him a cake.
And everybody's too scared to say it isn't, right?
And everyone's too scared to say it isn't. And then he said to the actor, he goes, watch, next week it'll be my birthday. And they had a birthday cake and singing happy birthday. And he looked over at him and winked and it wasn't his birthday. He just says it so he'll get a cake all the time. So I think he's great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But he is. And I love the movie because even though it's an absolute screwball comedy, it tells a pretty cool story.
It does.
Right from start to finish. And there's some really scathing criticism of religion in it, but it's just a damn entertaining film. And it's a sweet little love story.
It is. And Brendan Fraser's an idiot.
Oh, he is. And so is she. The two of them. Like,
well, there's something wrong with her.
They're not gonna pass any Mensa test, the two of them, but they were good. Like, they were sweet and they fell in love. And it was, when she hurts her knee and he blows on it and puts a Band-Aid on it. And it was so sweet. And the supporting cast is really good. One of the kids in the hall's on there, David, whatever his name is. And
how can you not like Sissy Spacek?
Oh, and they played the perfect, those two. I wish they'd do more films together because
I don't even know if she acts anymore.
That could be,
I'm not sure.
Waytime says it was a fun movie. It's one of those movies. So back in like 2000, I worked at a camp for kids who had whose parents were in prison. So we'd work like a week on, then a week off. We'd work a week on, and then we'd have a week to do like outdoor work. So during that week I had off, we would go to the local place and I think it was VHS at the time, I might be wrong, and we would rent movies. And this was one I rented 3 or 4 times because I just fell in love with it. And it's fun. And, half the movie takes place in a bunker. And
it's a nice movie. Like, it's a nice looking movie too. Like, everything is
really bright.
Well, and when they show it, it's all like everybody's trapped in the 60s. Is it 60s?
60s, right? Yeah.
Everyone, but like the whole bunker is done up like the 60s. Mm-hmm. And it's just a beautiful movie.
And he's got aquaponics with his fish and she likes to drink hot Dr. Pepper, which I think is disgusting.
No, that was him.
Was that him?
Yeah, she heated it up for him.
Right, she drank the
wine.
the cooking sherry. Yeah.
But at the end there, when he gets him the house, and then the father's marking out for a new.
That's what he was doing?
Yeah.
I just thought he was measuring out the living room.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of your dad.
Sure.
Where he's always got to be doing something.
Yeah.
So they came out of the bunker. They realized they didn't have it. They had the nice house. They had the land. So obviously he was bored.
Right.
And he was measuring out to build a new bunker.
That's probably what I would do too, isn't it?
Because honestly, it's probably because it's all he knew, right?
It's hilarious. How did I never catch that before?
Yeah, because you remember he's standing there and he's
doing them
steps,
stupid long steps and he's measuring. Yeah.
So he could build a bunker in the backyard.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Yeah. Chris says, don't knock the warm Dr. Pepper. I used to like to mix dark Bacardi with it in high school. I don't know how I ever got a hold of dark Bacardi when I was 14, but that's another story. But yeah, so that was my bonus pick for this week. Now let's go to my top. Actually, if anybody's out there and cares to throw out their favorite bunker movie, feel free. This one is by far my favorite, and it has one of my absolute favorite actors in it, doesn't it, hon?
Yeah, and honestly, he's probably one of mine. I think growing up, like weird as it was, I think I actually had a crush on him.
Well, that in elementary school and high school, they always said that I look like Dan off Roseanne.
I know, and I think that's...
And then you ended up marrying Dan off Roseanne, you bugger.
But I really do think I had a crush on him.
He's a good-looking man.
He is, but I think it's because he was so genuine.
Yeah.
And he was always laughing, and he looked like a big teddy bear, and he was always nice, and... and I used to watch. I was an avid watcher of Roseanne with my grandmother.
Twice we went through the whole series.
And growing up, we never missed an episode.
Even when they were new episodes, right?
Yep.
And that's an entertaining show even today. Not the reboot. But
the reboot's awful. And I feel bad that John Goodman's in it. I really wish he wasn't.
That he got stuck in there. I know.
Right? They talked him into it. It's not like he needs.
No. I mean, right? He has so I started making a list. So you guys must know John. I'm sure everybody does, but he played Dan off Roseanne. He played the exterminator in Arachnophobia. Remember?
Yep.
He played a big character in The Big Lebowski there. What was his character's name? It was Walter in The Big Lebowski.
Well, and he was in that movie with Nicolas Cage too. Raising Arizona.
Yeah, Raising Arizona. And the Matinee. which was a
Yep.
great film. I mean, it's just 100.
He's so funny.
And he just
Like,
commits to everything. And there was the old, what was the one he did? I think it was oh crap. It had Tom Hanks in it. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but he's done so many good films over the years. And this one, so if you haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, first off, if Nate's listening to the replay on this, I know he hates the original Cloverfield. So I hope it hasn't kept him from watching this, because this is not a Cloverfield movie.
oh, the original one when they're in this.
Yeah,
that
he
was
hates that
It was an
film.
awful movie.
It was, yeah, it wasn't great at all. And this, so here's a funny story. So this movie's called 10 Cloverfield Lane. J.J. Abrams from Bad Robot. He puts out a lot of good movies. Whether you like him or not, it's another story. He bought this script. It was called The Cellar. It had nothing to do with Cloverfield. He decided, hey, let's do something cool. We're not going to release any trailers for this movie until 2 months before it releases. And we're going to tack on a really shitty ending that ties it into the Cloverfield universe. And we're going to name it 10 Cloverfield Lane. So he took an incredible movie, and maybe it made a little more money because he did it. But the ending, that last couple of minutes when she, yeah, you know what? We're in spoiler territory. When she gets out of the bunker,
well,
it's a perfect film till then, right?
And that's supposed to link it to the movie in New York, right?
Yes.
Yes. Which, like, so I'm like, you're to gather that it's going on at the same time, type of thing.
I think so.
Yeah, like, because it's all. But I don't understand why they had to do that.
They didn't. It was a gimmick, you know. And I remember when they first brought out the trailer for this, everybody was like, "Holy shit! It's coming out in 2 months, and they just released a trailer." It was a big deal because they don't normally do that, you know. Normally, it's like a year down the road or ahead of time. But so it stars John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I believe she's British. I'm not sure. She's been in a lot. She was in that new Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie.
Oh,
we
didn't watch. Did we watch that?
We did. It was horrible. Well, you forgot because it was so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, this apparently, when this movie was written, the writer wrote it for Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Goodman, so he got the ones he wanted. So she's driving along. I think basically she's going for a drive because of the emergency, trying to get to her boyfriend. Cool little piece of trivia. When she's talking on the phone and she's talking to her boyfriend, it's Bradley Cooper doing the voice. So he had a kind of cameo in it, which I thought was neat. She crashes. She wakes up in an underground bunker. John Goodman's there. Her leg's in a cast. And he says, the air's poison. You can't get out. And then from then on, it's basically a Hitchcockian thriller of the best. It is so good because you don't know if he's crazy. You don't know if the one other guy in the bunker with him's crazy. You don't know if she's crazy at first, but you sure know by the end, don't you?
Oh yeah.
And it was, so good. And
well, it's like John Goodman plays every character good, but I was kind of disappointed that they made him like a bad guy in this one,
because it was fun.
It kind of breaks your heart a little bit because I love him, right? And and then you're watching, you're like, no, don't be the bad guy, because then you know when the bad guy's always gonna get killed. You know what I mean? So, but no, he was really, really. It was a really good movie.
And Dave Clark says he was also Goodman was also Sully in Monsters Inc., which because he's so damn huggable. You just want to hug John Goodman, right?
Well, it's his voice. He's so booming.
Yeah.
And he's loud, but he's not obnoxious loud.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
He's just a loud guy, and you can't help but not smile when you see him do something.
And you think he'd be fun to be around.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Always fun.
Definitely.
And so the movie is very tense. There's only 3 people in the whole film, and it takes place entirely, like 98% of the runtime, and it's only, I think, an hour and 43 minutes, but it never feels slow. It takes place basically entirely in the bunker, and the whole thing is this kind of cat and mouse game where you're trying to figure out, okay, who is, and then as it goes along, John Goodman's the crazy one.
Yeah, you definitely get the crazy vibe when he freaks out on them. And then he goes and he turns on the jukebox and starts dancing.
Yes, that was.
And they're both standing there like, okay, this guy's batshit, right?
And then remember he had some kind of acid in a barrel.
That's what and then he shot that guy.
And then shot the guy. That was awesome.
Yeah, and then starts, and then everything's all hunky dory.
And then she finally escapes the bunker. Gets out there
and realizes that there is shit going on.
There is an alien invasion, and she lit the goddamn bunker on fire, right?
But I don't understand the whole people coming up to the door with the melty faces.
I'm not sure
So,
if
because that wouldn't be linked to the one in New York, right? Like,
I think it was all one.
because did they give off some sort of chemical from the aliens, or
She was fine. That's what I didn't get.
I didn't understand. Yeah, because why were their faces all melty unless they got into something, or
Maybe I don't know. It was weird.
because
That
they're
part
the
I
ones that
never-
were trying to get in. Right?
Yeah, they were. There was two of them that had like chemical burns or something, and
Unless, of course, that would have been like,
maybe had dispersed by that point.
or maybe the government dropped nukes or something. Maybe
That
it
could
was
be.
due to Fallout. I don't know.
But it's a great film, and it was on 2016. It was on my top 10 films for the entire year list. Not just horror movies, not just anything. It was downright good. So if you got to pick one, so there's 3 Cloverfield movies. There's the original Cloverfield, which is okay.
No, it's not.
We got 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is a classic, and then the Cloverfield Paradox, which is a hot steaming pile of dog shit.
Didn't watch
that
that
was-
one, did we?
Yeah, sci-fi. It was a
Did we?
sci-fi horror
Was
on
it linked
Netflix
with these ones?
by name.
Oh, okay, not by.
No,
Okay.
remember they're up in a space shuttle, and something happens, and they get exposed to some virus. Remember, and there's like hands in the wall, or somebody gets. Yeah, it was
Okay.
just awful. So don't waste your time on it.
Are they going to do a sequel for this one?
I'm not sure. I kind of hope not. This one was a good standalone film all by itself.
Yeah, but
and-
where it linked it.
They
Right,
might. I don't
so,
know.
yeah.
And so apparently, something I learned while doing research for this as well is it follows almost the same kind of plot hits as The Divide. And I've never seen The Divide, but now we've got to dig it up and find it, don't we?
The Divide. Okay.
And Chris wants to know, are you going to have the list in the show notes? I can do that. Yeah, I'll throw them in afterwards. I hated to put them in before because I didn't want to, spoil it, right?
Yeah.
But yes, we'll throw them all up there for you, Chris. And Chris White North Forge says, "I love John as a bad dude." And
Oh yeah, no, he was an incredible bad dude, but it's still like, I don't know, like you always get that that feeling from him when you go back to Roseanne, is that he's a father figure.
oh sure,
Right.
Yep.
And when you grow up with him, it's like, oh man, I would have loved him to be my dad and everything
Yeah.
like that. And then you're just like, but then you see him as a bad guy, you're just kind of a little bit sad. It's like, oh, I really like him,
Oh,
So-
and he has played
but he's incredible at everything he does. Yeah.
I don't know how many different incredible parts he's played, and he
Yeah.
embodies whoever he is. It's funny how a fellow like him, he's so big and imposing, and when you see him, you know who the fuck John Goodman is. You
Mhm.
know, right? But at the same time, when he does these films, you see the character. You don't see John Goodman, and
Yeah.
it's so not everybody's good like that. Another one that's good like that is Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
He doesn't, like, recently he's that the Colonel Parker there in the new Elvis film, and you see the previews for that, and you're like, gosh darn, it's Tom Hanks, but he plays the character so well. And John Goodman's that way too. Eh?
Yeah. I do like him a lot.
So, Mrs. Cook,
Yes.
before we go into your picks, so out of the 5 that I had on my list tonight, what was your favorite? What would you say would be your favorite out of the 5?
Probably The Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. Yeah,
Yeah.
you love that. And what would be your least favorite?
Least favorite, probably. Can I?
Sure. Yeah. Scroll back, or I can bring up the pictures if you want.
Okay. Well,
Take Shelter, Hidden. Don't really remember Hidden, do you? Quiet
No.
Place and Greenland.
I'm gonna say probably Take Shelter.
Yep.
And I can't really include Hidden because I don't really remember it.
Sure.
But it's just because the ending.
Mhm.
And
That's fair.
and it wasn't horrible, but it was slow.
It was very.
It was
it's
a very
it's a slow burn film.
And like, I think if any other actor besides Michael Shannon, I don't think they would have been able to carry
No,
that.
they wouldn't have.
But it was really slow, and it was kind of like, you're like, okay, let's just get on to it. Like,
yeah.
what are we doing? And then when they finally get onto it, then you're like, oh, well, this is disappointing because the ending sucks.
That is true.
But
So this list, hopefully you guys enjoyed this part, because the last list was the Netflix post-apocalyptic films. And a few people watched some of those movies and they're like, man, they were bad. I never said it was a great list. I just said it was a list. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one a little better. Hey, we got the Philippine Nomad. How are you there? And so now there's 2 films on Becky's list. She brought 2 extra picks.
well, I had
You had
3,
three?
but one of them was Blast from the Past.
Sure, which we loved. We have a blast discussing that film every single
Yeah.
time.
So
I'm excited. I don't know what these ones are, so this should be
well,
good.
the first one is, it actually It kind of is a bunker,
Okay.
but cabin in the woods.
Oh my God, I love Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the woods, like, I can't give all the details off the top of my head, but it's basically it's like a makeshift cabin that's bugged with cameras, and
They think they're just camping. It starts like a typical slasher.
Yes.
Just like Evil Dead, right?
Exactly. And then they're in the cabin, and then all of a sudden, like, but everybody else is in this underground bunker.
Yeah.
And they're releasing, and like you're watching it, and you're like, okay, well, these are just people in costumes, and it's like some stupid slasher, and then it has that huge twist.
Yeah.
Where it starts off, well, Chris Hemsworth's in it, just that little
the motorcycle jump.
Yeah, and then he's like, okay, well, I can jump this, and then he jumps, and then he hits like this
goddamn force field.
And then you're kind of like, then things start getting real.
And then it's not like, just that; it's also friggin' supernatural crap.
It is supernatural.
Monsters.
Yeah, they get underground into the bunkers, and there's like demons and ghosts,
mermen or something crazy.
And there are all these, and then it's like kind of like this whole where they plan it a certain way because they have to sacrifice one of each of the things to keep the demons.
Liberty says,
yeah,
I can't, he's over on Telegram, but Liberty says Cabin in the Woods is one of my top three favorite movies of all time.
I think I've watched it about 15 times, but like, and then they have to sacrifice they have like a jock, or like the athlete, the princess, the virgin, and everything, and then they have to sacrifice these so their blood keeps the main demon from destroying the world.
Basically peace on earth, right?
Peace on earth. So
sort of, yeah.
So like you're kind of conflicted on, okay, well, because it's got Sigourney Weaver in it.
Right.
And then you're conflicted when she's trying to explain it to you, and you're like, okay, well, this bitch is just crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like she just wants to kill people. And then when it finally comes down, you hear the monster coming up before it has to be done before sundown or something. Yeah. Or sunrise. And then you're like, oh man, like you don't want her to die, but if she doesn't die, then the whole world is going to die, you know? And then you're conflicted by it. And then what happened? Then she goes ahead and she kills Sigourney Weaver. And then the alien comes up and she ends up dying anyway because it destroys the entire world, right? So
it was Joss Whedon as well, right? I'm sure
so.
It was.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It is, and it works on so many levels. It's kind of similar to Scream, you know, where it makes fun of all the tropes in horror, but at the same time, it's a goddamn good horror movie.
It really is. Well, because it has that mega twist.
Oh yeah.
First, you just think it's a bunch of crazies, kind of like, you know, the
Hills Have Eyes.
Hills Have Eyes. You think it's just a bunch of crazy mountain people, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like they're just like, okay, well, they're just killing all these random people, but no, it actually, they have a legitimate cause for killing these people, and you're just like, okay, well, this is. And then she thinks she's saving the world by surviving, but the alien comes up and kills her anyway. And you're like, oh man, she probably just should have died.
Oh, here we go. Oh, it's Drew Goddard. Yeah, there we go. Here we are. He says, Dave Clark says, after early preview screenings with fan Q&A, the first question director Drew Goddard was asked was, will there be a sequel? To which he responded, have you seen the ending to my movie?
Exactly,
right. So I think Joss, I might be wrong. And Dave, you can correct me. I think Joss wrote the movie, but that's you can't.
There's no ending. Like the alien comes up and kills everybody, all because. And then when you talk to other people about it, they're like, well, no, she had to save herself. And they're like, no, wait a minute, she was selfish because it had and I get it. She's, you know, fight or flight type of thing. But as soon as she heard the alien come up, she was like, oh shit. You know
what? I'll tell you something. If Gerard Butler was the main actor in this film, they'd make a goddamn sequel out of it. It would be him going to hell fighting Satan, and it would be called Cabin in Hell. That's what it would be. So
but
he was co-writer. Okay, I knew he had something to do with it.
Yeah, so like
good. Thanks, Dave.
So it basically takes place pretty much in a bunker, because once she gets down in the elevator with those crazy boxes moving around and like those crazy demons and all that stuff, it's pretty much a bunker movie, I would think.
That the whole boxes moving around and stuff.
That's so crazy.
If I'm sure I don't think you've ever seen this movie. Maybe you have. You ever seen the old movie Cube from the 90s?
I don't think so.
It's a 90s Canadian horror film. So if anybody out there seen Cube, I will be very impressed. They made a bunch of really shitty sequels, but the first one has kind of the same premise as the Jigsaw Saw movies or whatever, that, you know, a group of people wake up in a room, they don't know how they got there. And it's like Dave says he was just thinking of that. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know if anybody else has seen it, but it's a Canadian film. It's a sci-fi film. They wake up in a room and they have to work their way. It's kind of like it was those escape rooms before escape room was a thing. So you'd have to figure it out, and then people gradually get killed off. And I don't want to ruin the plot twist at the very end. It's probably hasn't aged super well. Door closes, the room shifts. Yeah, exactly. And it's like a giant Borg cube. But anyway, I won't tell you the ending, but it's worth watching. I'm sure the production quality isn't great in this day and age, but I watched it in high school on VHS, and it was a good one. So if you're looking for another good horror movie, it's confined spaces. Cube's a good one. So, Mrs. Cook, you got another surprise for me. What's your last pick?
Well, it is kind of a bunker type.
That's okay.
But it doesn't really take place on a bunker, but more like on a ship. And they're moving around but it's got your boyfriend in it.
Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which one am I thinking?
Oh, it takes place on a ship. It's Brad Pitt. I'm lost.
World War Z.
I wouldn't have thought book. So World War Z
Yeah.
is a much better book than it is a film.
It
Have
is.
you read the book or not?
No, but the show was incredible. And when the shit hits the fan, the government puts them all on boats.
That's right.
Boy,
look at you diving deep for this.
So they have to, they're all on the big steamships or whatever.
That's right.
And of course, and there are people in bunkers.
Yep.
That are hunkering down because of
CDC people that are locked in.
Yeah, well, and then remember in Jerusalem had the big wall.
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of like a bunkerish, I guess. But I just thought that movie was incredible.
It was. And a couple of things. If you've read the book, to me, it was an impossible book to adapt. And I think they did the best they could. There's been a long gestating sequel that's supposed to happen that never has. Brad Pitt's going to produce it.
I wish they would do a sequel.
It should have been R-rated. It was PG-13, so that took a lot of the teeth out of the movie. How the hell do you make a PG-13 zombie film?
And didn't we say that as soon as we left?
Yeah,
I said that should have been an R-rated movie.
Yep.
But I think they probably do a PG-13 so they can make more money.
Sure they do.
And that's understandable. But I find...
Yep, Rational Anarchist said World War Z was an okay movie, but a horrible compared to the book. And I agree. It was, but it was an entertaining film.
Oh yeah, well, anything that Brad Pitt does is entertaining, right?
Yes. And it also didn't feel rushed.
It could have been longer. Honestly, I probably would have sat there for 3 hours and watched.
Probably would have been a better film if it were longer.
But I like the whole and some of it was kind of and there was a little bit of the comedy in it and everything too. But I find all in all, it wasn't that bad of a movie, but it was your typical predictable, the kid had asthma and she needed her puffer.
Right, yes.
And you know what I mean? And I remember watching it and the one little one was screaming that she wanted her blankie. Remember? And that got yelled because one of our twins has a blankie.
Oh, I forgot about that. That broke my heart too. Oh my God.
But I it's that typical, the kid, they need all this, need all that. I just don't know why they can't have just normal kids in the show, right? Your typical ADHD kids that don't have their Ritalin.
They're almost more like a plot device or an afterthought. The kids are,
Yeah.
And Bruce. Oh, that would have been cool. We were just talking about Bruce Campbell.
I love Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell almost got Weaver's role as the head of the facility. I'd watch anything Bruce Campbell was in. I'd listen to that man read the phone book.
Yeah.
And we should do. Oh my God, we could.
Bruce Campbell movies.
I would love to do Bruce Campbell movies and if anybody's gone back and watched Ash versus Evil Dead, that show was awesome. Remember?
I didn't like the show as much as the movies.
It was just fun to see him as an old, washed up, still thinking he was hot shit, hitting on the 20-year-old women, and
Well, and I again, this is a whole spoiler thing. But he was in the new Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
We see we went and see. I was like, no, that is Bruce Campbell. That is incredible.
Yep.
And because he. I think that's probably one of the biggest movies I've ever seen him in.
Well, for those who don't know, Sam Raimi directed Doctor Strange. He also did some of the early Spider-Man movies. But Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi are best friends. They co-produced and co-financed the very first Evil Dead, and they've worked together ever since. So he gives him cameos in his films. Apparently, I didn't know this. Bruce Campbell had a cameo in the original Spider-Man movie as well.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either. But yeah, Bruce
like
Campbell's
original Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't remember that then.
I didn't either. But yeah, World War Z wasn't bad.
Yep.
What I liked is they actually took the time to show the beginnings of the pandemic, which was cool. I did not know this. Dave Clark says Campbell is writing a new Sergeant Rock comic series for DC Comics.
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce Campbell and DC Comics. That's a match made in heaven right there, baby. Yeah, we could do an entire Bruce Campbell. Why not? It's my show. We can do whatever we want, right? But I could talk about Bruce Campbell all
actually, night. His movie there, Evil Dead, could be kind of a bunker movie because it takes place in a cabin.
Absolutely.
So it there, I guess it's not really bunkering down, but
whatever. We could do small films and whatever. But
yeah, like out there in the cabin with this crazy book, chewing off his hand and wrestling the book and stuff. And
Rational says Bruce Campbell was the announcer at the wrestling match in the first in Spider-Man.
Oh, so and that's the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Apparently, so Bruce Campbell did another horror movie last year. It was called Black Friday, I believe. We haven't watched it yet. It's supposed to be pretty good. It honestly had an Ash versus Evil Dead feel to it. I think he's like a manager at a Walmart on Black Friday, and there's like a zombie outbreak. It's just fucking incredible. It looks.
Now, see, the Ash versus Evil Dead, though, I think out of all of his movies, I liked Army of Darkness the best. That one was my favorite. Like with his whole like boomstick routine and everything. I think that boomstick. That was my favorite one.
And he's just he's who he is. He's just he's cool, and he
just doesn't care.
He's so pathetic, but he's cool at the same time. And and Evil Dead's so good. And even the remake, he wasn't in the remake, but okay. No, Dave, I haven't. Burn Notice was that was on one of those cable networks in the States that was like a second or third tier cable network. We got it in Canada at the time, but it was fairly low budget, and I never watched it. Did you ever watch Burn Notice?
It's like a series.
Yeah, no. And if I remember, it went on for multiple seasons. Like it went for a long time.
Because there was a movie called Burn Notice, right, with Brad Pitt in it.
Burn Before Reading. You're thinking
Burn Before. Oh, okay, never mind.
This one was on. Remember, those stupid Canadian super channels.
Oh yeah,
it played on there for a lot of years, but I never watched it. So is it worth watching, Dave? Because we're always looking for something to watch with Bruce Campbell or somebody in it for sure. But so yeah, while he was great in Burn Notice, Rational says. So if anybody else wants to throw up any other bunker films that you enjoyed, or just goddamn Bruce Campbell movies, I'm happy with that too. But yeah,
I'll sit here all night and talk about movies.
Absolutely. But we'll do another one. And I'm on USA. Okay. So technically that's not a, I forget, or USA. I can't remember what they call that, but it's a cable network, but it's not like HBO or Showtime. It's kind of a step down. That's what it felt like. I was thinking TNT or one of those other, but it was never. Yeah, it played for a few seasons. It was on there. It was one of the big shows they always pushed, and I just never watched it. But yeah, I don't know. Any other movies that was your whole list, was it, Baby Doll?
It was, yeah. Like there's other ones here I have, but those were my important ones.
I had some more. I threw them off my list for tonight. They were kind of a little bit, how do you want to put it? Maybe more of a stretch. So maybe we'll do a second part to this episode down the road, babe. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I would love. Oh, here we go. Dave Clark, he's just talking about Burn Notice. He said he's a retired Navy SEAL who lives the life hooking with rich widows to fund his lifestyle while helping the series protagonist. So was this an autobiography or hooking up with? Hooking with. Yeah, well, hooking up with, about the same thing. It almost sounds like that might be his real life story or loosely based on the life story of Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
but that actually sounds pretty good. Yeah, that would be, maybe we'll give it a shot. We're always looking for something.
Well, there's the Hunker Down, can always go at Dawn of the Dead too.
Oh, yes. I love the remake actually is better than the original.
Yeah,
I think,
well, they're hunkered down in the mall. Mm-hmm. And
actually, we're going to do a whole episode on zombies. So if you guys want to get your picks in for zombie episode, maybe we'll do that next. Because there's, we could do the worst zombie movies or the best zombie movies. There's all kinds of them, So
yeah, but they hunkered down in the mall anyway.
Yeah, no, it was good.
But I can't really think of any more.
No, that's all right. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
We've been an hour and 5. It was wonderful having you, baby. I always love having a guest in the shop, and especially when it's my beautiful wife. But yeah, so where do we go from here, guys? Tomorrow night, we are going to, I've got Josh, the Renegade Butchers, coming on talking about all things butchery. Is that a word? Butchery? Butchering? I don't know. Whatever. Killing animals and eating them. So it'll be fun. Now it'll be really good. I'm looking forward to it. Somebody over on Facebook, give us a heart. Thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah, so there's that. And we've got all kinds of great stuff coming up. So where can you find us most right now? Support us over on TikTok. It's growing like crazy. Just started the Twitch stream, the Twitch channel, so you can support us there as well. Just settled on my topic for Self-Reliance Festival. So if you're going down there in October, it is going to be turning content into currency, building a lifestyle business using content creation. So I'm pretty excited about that. Thank you, Dave. Always appreciate the support, bud. And look out in the next month or two, we are going to finally have a membership thing set up. Pretty excited about it. We're going to do stickers of the month. We're going to do, hey, Grace, how are you? My daughter, sweetheart. She just posted the username for TikTok. Yeah, so we're going to have I think it's going to be a $5, a $10, and a $30 tier. It's going to be sticker of the month, patch of the month, and shirt of the month. And it's going to have bonus content, maybe not content, but there's going to be added value for anybody who's part of it. So you're going to get something physical, and you're also going to have some extra perks. Haven't decided exactly what it is. If anybody has any suggestions, send them along. We're still working on it, but we got our first 2 patches coming, so I'm going to be able to do an unveiling for that. We got so much on the go. But
yeah. Don't forget to support our coffee.
Yes, CanadianCoffeeCompany.ca, especially if you're Canadian. Although my buddy Joseph from Millis Construction just got a huge haul, got himself like 3 or 4 bags and a Canadian coffee insulated mug. So yeah, just check it out.
It does ship.
It does, yes. And there is a bit of shipping cost, but it's not horrible, especially if you're buying a bunch. So it's a good way to support us because we love it. This is going to be our biggest month of YouTube, Amazon affiliate income yet, isn't it?
And with our membership too, I think we're going to include some coffee.
We may, yep. And we're going to do some giveaways. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. So, and it's going to be all done in-house, so we don't have to worry about going through Patreon or anything like that. But it's all coming. So hang in there. We finally got the coffee company. Oh, poor John. Hey, John Palmer. He just showed up to say, hey, everybody. It was really good. And you know what? Before we go out here, Dave Clark says, if you get a chance, check out his autobiography, If Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-Movie Actor. Well, I have 1 credit left on Audible, and I may just have to do that. And maybe we'll have a discussion on the book because it sounds damn right interesting, eh? Cool.
Stranger.
All right, guys. Well, that's it from us, isn't it, babe?
Yep.
As always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.